The top 5 SERP features to be aware of in 2023 with Bethany Weatherhead. The In Search SEO podcast is brought to you by Rank Ranger, the all-in-one SEO platform that helps scale your business through data and analytics. Hey, it's David. How aware are you of the common SERP features that appear for your target keywords? And what are you doing to take advantage of them? That's what we're discussing today with a lady who has over 6 years of experience in SEO and provides training to many SEO companies, many companies across the UK, including guest lecturing at Warwick University. She's owner and SEO consultant at Ruddy Duck Digital. A warm welcome to the In Search SEO podcast, Bethany Weatherhead.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
Hey Bethany, thanks for coming on. Well, you can find Bethany over at ruddyduck.digital. Cool brand name, Bethany. Where did that come from?
Well, it was just in a pursuit to find a quirky name that sort of stands out. There's no sort of historical story or anything behind it. It was just a case of, trying to find something that stood out, something a bit different, of course. And so far I've had a positive reception from it. So I've started Ruddy Duck Digital probably about 6-7 months ago now. It's going really well, providing, consultancy to clients, also helping with other digital agencies with their work, and additionally also just doing training to the clients and individuals who are interested to learn all about the world of SEO.
And today you're sharing the top 5 SERP features to be aware of in 2023. So starting off with number 1, awareness of SERP features we don't have too much control of.
Yes, absolutely. These come in all sort of shapes and sizes, and it's always sort of difficult to know whether they're there to stay or whether they'll be just trialed out by Google for a couple of weeks or not. But one that I noticed recently that I found particularly interesting was that back in January, I was doing Veganuary. And so I was typing in vegan shortbread because that was something I was particularly craving. And of course, I got the usual expected SERP results. So I got the recipes that came up, from people using, recipe schema, etc. on the websites. And then I think I had about 1 or 2 normal traditional SERP listing results. But then there was an interesting segment that popped up. And that segment said, find out why vegan ingredients are more sustainable. And this was extracted from the source, the UN. And then that opened a drop down, which then opened a whole table of different ingredients and their environmental impact, which I found particularly interesting. At this point, I'm on my mobile. This is taking up the entire screen of sort of statistical information that doesn't lead to a link onto a website or anything like that. Isn't necessarily directly related to what I was searching for either. I was trying to find, vegan shortbread recipes or to buy it, and I was met with all this information. But at the same time, it got me thinking, if I'm trying to say rank for this particular keyword, the whole search engine results page is taken up by this result, dominated by the UN, which of course is really difficult to be able to compete with to try and get a similar result showing up for your little website. So it was an interesting one. I think whilst we can't necessarily compete and try to claim that type of result for ourselves, it's useful to know that perhaps even if you do say rank 3rd, 4th, you may not see the click-through rate you're expecting to achieve from that ranking, because again, this type of new different SERP feature is appearing above your results and may just take the attention away for the user almost altogether.
Right, okay, I think you answered my follow-up question, because my follow-up question was going to be, why do we actually care if we don't actually control or aren't able to control too much of it? But essentially, one of the reasons is if you're ranking 3rd, conventionally, if you rank 3rd, maybe you're hoping for a 5+% click-through rate to your site, to your webpage. But if you're not getting that click-through rate, you might perhaps blame your bad copywriting, your bad title, your bad meta description, something else. But in fact, if you're aware of the SERP, then you can justify why the click-through rate is so bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, as mentioned, this may only be sort of trialed out by Google for like a couple of weeks, and then you'll find that the results are, back to sort of roughly what you expected. But it's always good to have a bit of a Google yourself, preferably in incognito mode, so you get a bit more of an unbiased view of what the SERP looks like. And you can also use tools such as SEMrush to see what the SERP on average does look like for particular keyword terms. Yeah, so if you're trying to rank for a particular keyword term, it's always a good idea to have a bit of a Google to see what the results look like, preferably in incognito mode, so you get a bit more of an unbiased appearance of what the SERP could look like. You could also use tools such as SEMrush, which give a snapshot idea of what the SERP looks like, and just see, are these unusual SERP features appearing? Is that perhaps why the click-through rate for your page isn't as expected? And then you can work around that. You can know that perhaps the click-through rate for this keyword term isn't going to be as high as expected, and you can work through that, whether that's via optimizing another page or trying to gain additional SERP features such as feature snippets, which we'll talk into a little bit later, and different SERP features such as that as well, that we do actually have a fighting chance of being able to appear in.
So I just want to stick on that point for one more question, and that is, if you actually discover that there's something happening on the SERP that makes it very difficult to compete with that thing, and the vast majority of people are going to click on that and see that as the direct answer and not actually consider other search results, is it worthwhile saying, let's not bother to compete for that particular keyword phrase and focus on something else?
Yeah, I mean, it's all dependent, of course, on what the purpose of that page is. But I would definitely recommend not saying put all your eggs in the basket of trying to, actually gain good traffic and good click-through rate from that particular keyword term. There might be more question-based keyword terms that you can try and target on that page instead, to just sort of grow that visibility for still relevant keywords, but perhaps with different search engine results page appearances, that you could actually, rank third and be on a standard, search engine results page listing, just, title, meta description, and that type of result instead. So it's trying to sort of work around it, not necessarily cut it off altogether. I think you still need to make sure you're targeting for that keyword if it is relevant to what that page is about. But it's finding different avenues perhaps of being visible for people who are still likely to, want to go on that page and see the information that's on that page.
And the number 2 SERP feature to be aware of in 2023, short videos.
Yes, I think everyone is aware by now of the rapid growth of, the likes of TikTok. And last year, it was found to be showing on, search engine results pages. And then more recently, sort of YouTube, perhaps as a copycat approach. Perhaps they had that idea all along. I can't consider on that. But yeah, now YouTube is sort of introducing YouTube Shorts, which are much shorter videos. It's a much different viewing experience as well. Like, users are watching these short videos, and then before they blink, they're watching the next one and the next one. But these types of videos are now coming up and appearing on search engine results pages. So again, it's a case of if your website topic is applicable to this type of content and these types of videos, it's worth experimenting on that. It's worth making sure that you do have a presence there, because a user might be searching in a question that has quite a quick answer. Let's say, for example, how to clean a window effectively. Let's go with that. In that situation, it's going to be a quick demonstration of someone cleaning a window, the different steps involved. We're looking at 20 to 30 seconds at most. So being able to have that content there in different types will definitely sort of help your visibility on the search engine results pages. And then alongside that, if you've got a page like a blog post that again answers that question in written text, you can look to sort of rank highly for that particular page. And already you've got 2 different SERP features appearing on that same search engine results page. So again, it's one to be aware of. I think it's something that's going to, short videos, whether it is via TikTok or whether it's via YouTube or even a new competitor may come along to compete, those types of results are going to be appearing on Google results more and more often. So it's good to be aware of that, because again, that could be something that pushes down your actual appearance on the search engine results page for, a standard title and meta description results. But at the same time, it is, well, can my website or can my client produce these types of videos to sort of appear in those spaces?
And number 3, what to watch.
What to watch, yes. So this was another interesting one that I found by accident. So I was searching top Netflix shows, and I got sort of an almost tiled appearance coming up on the top of the search engine results page, but it said it was based on recommended for me personally. So I went on the Learn More button that came up next to it, and it was explaining how it was sort of linked to my Netflix account, how the results were based on, my previous viewing history. Also, I'm assuming at this point that it's based on, my demographics, my gender, my age, my location. So I found that particularly interesting because while, say, we can't compete with the likes of Netflix to sort of appear there in that space, it could perhaps open up applications for other types of search results. So, for example, if I'm searching for top holidays for me, it might do it based on previous holidays I booked or previous searches I've made for particular countries or particular holiday types. It could open up to, say, if I'm searching for t-shirts, the results might be based on t-shirts that I've previously bought. So yeah, it opens up a whole lot of possibility for other topics other than just, say, top Netflix shows, which perhaps we don't have much control of. I see this as kind of a bit of a challenge for SEOs because it sort of prevents your ability to show up if users haven't perhaps gone on your website or searched the type of products that you offer previously. It may just start constantly recommending similar products and similar brands that perhaps you've bought in the past. So giving the underdog perhaps less of a chance of appearing in that area.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I love your left field mention of Netflix, but it's actually quite important because it gives SEOs an additional window into the minds of searchers, of people who are looking for specific keyword phrases and where they're likely to go next. And I think it's easy to optimize for certain keyword phrases, but not really think of the whole likely search experience after that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just it's always useful to just be able to look into these things a bit more and just trying to predict what Google will do next with those types of SERP features. I can imagine that to be quite a successful feature to add for people to be able to see results, based on their previous, viewing history, etc. So it's a case of what other applications that Google will sort of bring and add to that as well.
And does that relate to number 4, refining the search as well?
A little bit, yeah. So this one has probably been around for a little while, started seeing the results back in 2022, where you would type in a search term, for example, how does an air fryer work? And straight away, it's suggesting ways to refine that search further. So it's suggesting how does an air fryer work versus an oven? How does an air fryer work versus a microwave? Those types of refined suggestions are coming up. And right at the top, before any results come up, a similar example was I typed in how to grow apples in an attempt to try and find these types of results. And again, it was like straight away asking me to refine it by, say, gala apples or, Granny Smith apples or any other type of apple. So straight away, it was getting the user to search more specifically in a much more niche way, and before they even stopped to actually look at what results were coming up. And this is quite interesting. Obviously, from Google's perspective, it helps the user to find what they're looking for easier. So users are happy with Google and they'll continue to use Google. But at the same time, it's a great opportunity for, say, websites with lesser authority to be able to start appearing in search results when perhaps they would have been blocked off by people typing in broader keyword searches. So an underdog could write a blog post on, say, how to grow gala apples more effectively, and they're much more likely to have that page seen and visible because the user has been guided to refine their search just a bit further than just typing in how to grow apples, which perhaps would return a more authoritative site in the results.
And kind of just drilling down into your example a little bit more, for that specific example, how to grow gala apples more effectively. So if that's something, if that's a search or an area that Google directed the user towards after searching for how to grow apples, is that exactly the same as searching for the term, how to grow gala apples more effectively? Or is it a slightly different set of results if Google directs the user to that particular set of results? Does that make sense? Am I explaining myself correctly? Okay.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I would assume at this point that it would be a similar presentation of results, but it may change slightly because the more of the context is on how to grow apples, and then the Gala apples is sort of a secondary addition to the search results. So again, you might just see a bit more broader terms show up than perhaps if you typed in straight away how to grow Gala apples. But I imagine the results would be quite similar. And then again, that gives Google some sort of feedback and learnings in terms of what users are actually searching for when they're searching more broader terms, and helps understand, user intent, that type of thing. So yeah, again, it's similar to the Netflix example that we discussed previously in the previous point. It's Google, again, just trying to make those search results much, much more personalized and much, much more specific to what the user is actually looking for, rather than trying to guess what their intent is.
There are many layers to the onion to peel off, and you've got to explore what's right for your industry. But let's move on to
the Pareto pickle.
So Pareto says that you can get 80% of your results from 20% of your efforts. So what's one SEO activity that you would recommend that provides incredible results for modest levels of effort?
Okay, so my tip is sort of on topic. So it's all about the featured snippet. So this is a SERP feature that's been around for a very, very long time now. Yeah, so it's all about looking at your existing content on your site, so you don't have to write any new content at all. Are there edits that you can make to that existing content to be a bit more featured snippet friendly? So for example, if you've got a question, let's say, how do I clean my car quickly? Got a lot of cleaning examples in this talk show today. Yeah, so the content underneath it, is it answering that question directly? Are you perhaps using bullet points or numbered lists, or are you just sort of dumping a load of content underneath? So being able to structure it clearly, having that direct answer, utilizing bullet points, numbered lists, clear to crawl tables, if necessary, just going into your existing content and making those few slight tweaks can make the difference between that keyword, ranking, say, second or third, and then changing that to that keyword ranking first, or hopefully appearing for a featured snippet. And again, this is only, say, 5 to 10 minutes of work at most, and you could see your click-through rate, see your traffic, see your rankings, increase fairly quickly from just making those small few changes.
I've been your host, David Bain. You can find Bethany Weatherhead over at ruddyduck.digital. Bethany, thanks so much for being on the In Search SEO podcast.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for listening. Check out all the previous episodes and sign up for a free trial of the Rank Ranger platform over at rankranger.com.